Welcome, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for another OTRSCentral Q&A episode, and it looks like you guys have some tremendous questions for me. I can't wait to dive right in these Q&As, especially the last one. Have been a lot of fun lately, and this one looks like it'll be more of the same. Let's get going. WWE 961 asks, fuck, marry, kill, Laura Bush, Michelle Obama, or Hillary Clinton? Imagine those wrinkled pussies schlegel. Well, let me put it this way. I would fuck Laura Bush, I would marry Michelle Obama, and then neither fuck or marry Hillary Clinton. I think that's pretty easy to me. Laura Bush looks like she takes it up the poop hole like a champion. Probably, knows how to get it done with the mouth region too. And then Michelle Obama is obviously my flavor, and there really is no redeeming qualities to Hillary. Let's see here. And then he also asked, which team wins first? Like Daddy, Team OTRS or Team Wrestling Gurus? Keeping in mind that the British Fist interferes. Well, I would like to think if you look at Wrestling Gurus versus OTRS, we would have superior numbers, superior girth, especially with Metal D and tasteless Tony T. You'd have to figure we'd cheat to win because of the Schleg Daddy. I think I could take Mitch Lightning one-on-one, brother. But ultimately, we would win, all kidding aside. This is totally serious. We would win due to the British Fist outside interference. We would win via DQ because NJ would creepily want to talk to Mr. Rout about Kane, his love for the movie The Marine, and then they would want to hug it out over Triple H, and then Mr. Parkin would keep trying to run up and hug me, and that would be referred to as interference, and therefore giving us the match. By hook or by crook, a win is a win. We'll take it however we can get it, minus the hug from Mr. Parkin. Thank you. NJ, if you want to hug Mr. Rout, I'm sure you are more than welcome to it, regardless of what Mikey's objections might be. Mr. Tuxedo, which wrestler has the biggest unjustified ego? His name is Jeff Jarrett. He is a Memphis mid-card piece of crap who for several years in TNA thought he needed to be the guy that went over anyone and everyone. Every big name that was brought in had to be served to him. That at a point in time where a company needed to establish an identity, the identity it established was that a lot of the other stuff would be good, but the main event would suck because of Jeff fucking Jarrett. Blockbuster Alex. Oh, and if you want any proof, look at his GFW. Get a fuck out of here. Blockbuster Alex. Which former WWE or F superstar would you bring back to life if you could? Of all the ones, I would have to go with Owen Hart. Because of the way he died, that would be the one to me that I would bring back above all the other ones. Matt Meffe 2. Fuck, marry, kill. Nicole Bass, Karma, or Jeff Jarrett? Oh, God. Fuck Karma, marry Nicole Bass, kill Jeff Jarrett. Reason for the marry of Nicole Bass is once you're married, you don't have to have sex. So at that point in time, we could have separate bedrooms. It'd be all fine and good. But I'd plow Karma all day long and Jeff Jarrett could just go away. The Owens, who had better tits, Deborah or Chyna? I'll probably go with Deborah's. Punk 21, if Hogan is a manager for any young talent, who would you like him to manage? And would his politics guarantee a top spot? Well, of course. Hogan doesn't do the mid-card, brother. As far as who I would like him to manage in WWE, I don't know that there's really a good guy for him in WWE. Back in TNA a few years ago, to me, it should have been Matt Morgan. And at one point in time, it seemed like they were going in that direction with Morgan kind of beefing with Hogan a little bit, but kind of not. And then they just forgot about it and dropped it. That would have been the guy that could have best used a rub from Hulk Hogan. Not fucking Abyss. DJ Ultradonis. I mean, seriously, hold on. Before I get to Ultradonis' question. You've got Abyss or you got Matt Morgan. You're going to pair Hogan with one of the two. And somebody decided the best thing to do was pair Hulk Hogan with Abyss. How does that make any sense on God's green earth? All right, now on to DJ Ultradonis' question. What was your opinion of the Hollywood Blondes and WCW, excuse me? I thought they were very underrated and entertaining. I agree. Very much the same. I think they could have done more with Pillman, and they most certainly could have done more with Austin, and they most certainly could have done more with that tag team. Capitalist 111. Could the Breakfast Club versus original NWO in a great political debate main event WrestleMania 1? Also, who would win? Now, by saying that, since we're going original NWO, that allows us to grandfather in Shawn Michaels into the Breakfast Club. So you've got Shawn Michaels and Triple H and John Cena and Randy Orton, and to a lesser degree, people like Batista and Sheamus and Stephanie. And this is outstanding. I mean, what a political force. And they would get buried by the original NWO. I highly doubt they could out-politic Hall and Nash. And even if somehow they were able to overcome those odds, 7 against 2, then they got to go against Hogan. Who the fuck you think's winning that? Give me a break. The Breakfast Club will leave with their hands over their hole rings, their buttholes puckered and bleeding, and they'll be like, oh my God, Hulkster destroyed us. Because Hulk Hogan rules in matters of politics, brother. Dexter C73. Will we ever see larger-than-life characters in the WWE again? Hopefully, but let's not get too excited about the possibility. Sure seems like they want to do whatever they can to kill those larger-than-life characters. We really don't have one at this point. Twins of Sanity. Do you think some of the YWC's members' asses are jealous of their mouths because of a lot of the shit that comes out of them? Perhaps. I realize we all have different opinions, but damn, sometimes some of the things I see in videos and shit said by different members of the YWC just astounds me. I just sit there and say, did you really come up with that? Did you really think that that was a good point? Did you really construct your argument that way? Wow. Edsel 4. Which would you watch in person? Sid breaking his leg or a Breakfast Club debate on who wins? I've seen Sid break his leg. I want to see a Breakfast Club debate on who wins. You imagine the entertainment value? Whew, my goodness. Wrestling Crisis. Did you know that E! Network told WWE not to turn Naomi and Cameron heel? I did not know that. Didn't really care. Well, that is interesting, isn't it? So the WWE is, in a way, allowing another network to dictate what they do with their fucking product, all the while a show that was doing a third to a fourth of the ratings of Raw. Today's WWE for you. Luis Roulette, your thoughts on an Orton and Bo Dallas feud, since one has a raging ring boner and the other comes out soaking wet. My thoughts on that feud. My thoughts on that feud is that Chase would have far too many buttgasms, and as a result, I don't think it's a good idea for anybody. Just saying. Probably for Chase, though. He believes in the boner. Rampager 213. Here's another fucking Orton question. Randy Orton's ring boner doesn't satisfy Stephanie anymore. Is this the reason for him being Seth Rollins' bitch? No. I mean, his ring boner's always there, so as far as him being Seth Rollins' bitch, could that just be because of the fact that Randy Orton's just not that good? Kind of sucks. Just saying. Shiny Stick. Did you ever watch China's shitty-ass porn? How would you know about China's shitty ass? And how would you know about China's porn? Did you watch Backdoor to China? I did not. I'm proud to say that I did not. But by you judging it, I would assume that you have. Oh God, help you. Oh God, help you. Real Ziggy 23. What was more awesome funny? Vince tearing both of his quads or Sid breaking his leg? Based off of sheer backstory, Sid breaking his leg, in terms of spectacular awesomeness of the singular event, Vince tearing both of his quads is right up there. Oh, Christ. He tore both of his quads at the same time. Roids did a body good, son of a bitch. See here, the Mad Stork 83. United States presidents, who was the best, worst, most overrated, and most underrated. Very underrated president. I mean, let me start off by saying this. It's kind of hard for me when I'm judging presidents, Mad Stork, because I look back through the scope of history and I punish a lot of the good presidents because of their treatment of blacks or Native Americans. So I guess in a way I have to judge them according to the times and their environment. I'll start off with most underrated. I think Dwight Eisenhower is a very underrated president. Like, he did a lot of good things during his time, and even at the end of his tenure, spoke out against the ills of caving into the industrial military complex. Um, I think he's a very underrated president. I really, really do. In terms of overrated, I've got two of them in modern times, one Republican and one Democrat. The most overrated president, perhaps, of all time is Ronald Reagan. How he became a hero to the far right, how he became a hero to conservatives is fucking beyond me. Record budget deficits, proliferation of the industrial military complex, dropping the ball on AIDS and other social matters of the time, tax cuts for the wealthy that were more short-sighted, spurring of the economy. You got Iran that hurt the country long term, deregulation during his time that created problems both then and later, the savings and loan scandal, Iran-Contra. Reagan, to me, the most overrated Republican president perhaps in history outside of maybe Abraham Lincoln. In terms of Democrat, I think Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a president at a time that you had an exponential, like unquantifiable almost growth in technology compared to the times during his 8-year window. So many things lined up perfectly, but the fact of the matter is he didn't have that much control over it. He gets a lot of credit for it, but he doesn't deserve a lot of credit for it. He really wasn't that great of a president, and he's incredibly overrated by Democrats. As just as much almost as Ronald Reagan is incredibly overrated by Republicans. Worst presidents of all time, you'll hear about Millard Fillmore and James Buchanan, and they were bad presidents. John Quincy Adams. You can say William Henry Harrison because he served about a month of his term. George W. Bush has to be up there, and no, Obama is not there. Stop it. Stop it. Obama, in some ways, disappointingly, has been an extension of Bush. But to sit there and say that he is the worst or he's even worse than Bush is ridiculous and stupid and needs to stop. Obama has been a not very good president. Obama has been a less than stellar president. Obama, frankly, has been kind of a bad president. But to say that he's one of the worst or he's the worst and he measures up to George W. Bush in that way, the only way you could think that is if you just don't like Obama for one bullshit reason or another. He's been a bad president, but he's not one of the worst. Bush, on the other hand, was one of the worst presidents of all time. The damage that he caused this country under his leadership will be felt for decades and generations to come. In terms of the best, JFK could have been, if he had been able to serve 2 full terms. I always think the one president that should have been, that our country was robbed of, was RFK. I think that truly could have been a transcendent presidency. And back when Obama was coming into being, on the national stage as presidential candidate in 07 and 08, I was really hoping that he was going to be an RFK, not JFK type of figure. Sadly, he wasn't. A lot of people look at Washington and say he was a great president. Perhaps he was. Jefferson was a great president. Perhaps he was. I think Abraham Lincoln is incredibly overrated. Andrew Jackson, like I said, when you overlook the fact that he was, very pro-slavery and very terrible to Indians, Native Americans, a lot of the other things that he did were very good for the country, even though he created an era, a Jacksonian era that future presidents failed to live up to, and they were kind of crushed by the weight of it. But based off of his times and what he accomplished, the only president to ever leave office without a national debt, I think you'd have to put Andrew Jackson there. Like I said, if I'm grading him with everything factored in, if I'm grading everything factored in, not many of these guys make it at all. I think FDR is also very overrated as a president. I think Teddy Roosevelt is one of the best presidents ever, even though I'm saddened that a guy that once outlawed desegregation in New York schools as governor failed to do more from a racial equality standpoint as president. Great question, though. Man God 45. Thoughts on the Daniel Bryan CM Punk feud from 2012? They were used as props for AJ Lee. The belt played second fiddle to both the bitch and Cena. Now, let me rephrase that. They played second fiddle to AJ Lee and the bitch, Cena. That feud was stupid. That feud fucking sucked. Mr. Beetle 890. What would happen if the Scott Steiner of 2003 Was in WWE today. Awkward awesomeness. A Smith 906. Does Vince refuse to make new top stars because he's afraid they'll leave and join another company like Hall and Nash did? Where the fuck are they going to go? He's not afraid that they're going to leave to another wrestling company. He might be afraid that they will leave to go do other ventures such as movies and television. That's legitimate. I think you could conscientiously see, a huge attitude change once Lesnar left in '04. As I always talk about those fortunate four of Cena, Orton, Batista, and Edge, those guys that he thought were going to be around long term that weren't great threats to go off to Hollywood or television or do other things. I don't know if he sees guys like that today. WWE, instead of being a ultimate stop, is viewed maybe more so as a destination along the path. It's a means to an end, and maybe that concerns Vince about why he doesn't want to create him. Also, he's older now, and as you get older, you're supposedly supposed to get more conservative, which I don't necessarily believe. I think as you get older, you get a little more radical in your beliefs one way or another. And in terms of your attitude, I think you get a lot less patient, and that's the biggest problem. Talk about an almost 70-year-old Vince. His patience is almost non-existent at his age. So that's very damaging to the product. Strange to Earth. Do you see yourself stopping your watching of wrestling anytime soon? I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I've long since stopped watching ROH. I stopped watching NXT. I stopped watching TNA. So it's pretty much WWE Raw, and that's it. I don't watch SmackDown. So just Raw and the pay-per-views at this point. Yeah, I could see myself doing it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen, but it could happen. Asil Meki, do you think that Cesaro can be built as a threat to Brock Lesnar? I mean, as a real fighter, not just a wrestler. I mean, it woulda, coulda, shoulda. He could be. He's not going to be, so why even entertain the thought? God Toron, fuck, marry, kill. Heather Hunter, Jada Fire, Vanessa Blue. Now this is a question right up my alley. I'd fuck the shit out of Vanessa Blue. Then I would marry Jada Fire, knowing that in this case I would employ the fuck 3 times a day rule. And then I guess you could kill off Heather Hunter. Probably a little too light-skinned for me. Jada and Vanessa are more of my flavor of girl. Rare Breed RKO 97. You guys love these fuck, marry, kill questions. It's almost like you want me to do an entire Q&A of just these. Fuck, marry, kill. China, ODB, and Nicole Bass. Fuck China, marry ODB, kill Nicole Bass. The reason I would do China, you could go in the back door, because if you put it in her poop hole, wouldn't that technically be like touching God? Triple H has been there. He'd like to go there. Wouldn't that almost feel like a out-of-body religious experience to put it in China's butthole? ODB, she's the least bad of the 3, and then, Nicole Bass. Zachpack 5150, where the hell is Brad Maddox? I do not know, but rumor has it, my sources indicate to me that is relatively believable, that he may indeed be in a super secret hiding spot, training for a big reveal on the road to WrestleMania with his tag team partner, Honey Boo Boo. That's right, Honey Beef Mode is coming to WrestleMania 31, bitches. So guess Mike 97. Have you watched OSW review, and if so, what do you think of them? I've watched them. I think I've watched maybe 2 or 3 of their reviews in the past. I think the commentaries and stuff are very good. I applaud them in a way for being creative and how they get views in terms of using both the thumbnails and the creatively constructed titles, whereas they put full disclosure in the title what it is, but it's worded in such a way where they say, ECW Barely Legal 1997 OSW full review. So they're not misleading you with the title. They've constructively worded the title in a way that when you look at it, you see, okay, I see this thumbnail, I see ECW Barely Legal 1997 OSW, so that's probably going to be the full show, and they do the videos long enough where they're not the entire length of the show, but they're long enough to make some stupid people think that, hey, this is the actual pay-per-view. I click on it, then we got all this background stuff, and they're talking about it, so it's not so bad. Pretty smart on their part, actually. I don't hate on it at all. They've been very creative in how they get their views and what have you. Some people might not realize that, but that's what they've done, and good for them. Good for them. Jamie NSNZ. If and when Triple H takes over from Vince, do you think A-Rod will actually have a chance at wrestling again? Only if he ramps up production for Triple H's secret stash. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand by now, there is one reason and one reason alone that marijuana is only a finable and not a suspendable offense in the WWE. That is A, because a lot of their boys do it, and B, specifically, Triple H. If you don't think he does, you're kidding yourself. So maybe A-Rod needs to figure out a way to supply him some of the stickiest of the ickies. And be like, I'm A-Rod, bitch! How about you smoke some more bowls with the old boy A-Rod? That's what maybe he needs to do. Sean McGlinchey 4. What annoys you more, stupid WWE booking or Dolph Ziggler fanboys? Dolph Ziggler fanboys sure could be annoying, but whose fanboys can't be annoying? I mean, they're not nearly as annoying as like Bret Hart fanboys or CM Punk fanboys or Daniel Bryan fanboys. Ziggler fanboys, it's just like anybody else, the old WCW fanboys. You know what I mean. Stupid WWE booking is far more annoying because that impacts the product on so many different levels. That's just terrible. That's more annoying because it prevents guys like Dolph Ziggler, excuse me, from being bigger stars. It's what gets the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler fanboys pissed off to begin with. So if there was better booking by the WWE, it wouldn't be so bad with some of these fanboys. So no, the fanboys of a certain guy do what they want. Doesn't mean I won't make fun of them from time to time because they do deserve it. But damn it all, if the WWE was better and their booking was better, you wouldn't have as many issues with that crap. Deduct 97, CM Punk, Bret Hart, Randy Orton, and the Iron Sheik in a fatal four-way crybaby match. Who wins? Kind of interested you put the Iron Sheik in there. I don't think he belongs in the crybaby category, but the other three clearly do. Randy Orton, crybaby. CM Punk, crybaby bitch. But clearly the winner by a score of 4 out of 10 is Bret Hart. Has there ever been a bigger crybaby in the history of professional wrestling? Respect to him, but the truth is the truth. Crybaby to the nth degree. I'd probably go Bret Hart 1, CM Punk 2, Randy Orton just barely behind at number 3. Burn Notice 3216. If somebody researches 9/11 and still doesn't believe it's an inside job, does that mean that they have the intelligence of a carrot? Let me clarify my viewpoint on this just a little bit. I've never said for sure that I fully advocate and believe that it was a total inside job, because you also have to specify what you mean by inside job. Now, with that being said, I also haven't said that it wasn't an inside job or that elements or components of it wasn't an inside job. I think if you believe the 100% official story of 9/11, you may indeed have the intelligence of a carrot. But to sit there and go and just flat out say it's an inside job because of this or that, I don't know about all that. I mean, because, it's, like I've said in the last Q&A, the funniest thing about it is the people that don't believe the official story are called conspiracy theorists, and it's a bad label. Well, no matter what you think, 9/11 was pulled off by more than one person. A, that makes it a conspiracy to begin with. And to me, the most illogical and wild and out crazy conspiracy theory I've heard about 9/11 was actually the official story. The aerodynamics of the planes doesn't match up. The fact that several of the hijackers have reportedly been found to be alive after 9/11 and the FBI never addressed it. The fact that Tower 7 fell at free fall speed in a manner of controlled demolition without actually being struck by a plane. The fact that 2 buildings were struck on the upper halves in Towers 1 and 2 by some type of object, some type of plane, and the whole buildings collapsed again at free fall speed. The fact that Tower 6's entire middle was emptied out for whatever reason. Just on and on and on. The NTSB report, I believe in 2002, that showed the path of flight of that flight 77, was it, that supposedly went into the Pentagon, supposedly. Yet, by the time 9/11 Commission, the report had flipped it to the other side. People that are familiar with the D.C. area know where I'm talking about, with the gas station, with the Navy Annex, what have you. There's just so many things that don't make sense. The fact that you had these planes flying to the World Trade Center, the aluminum cut through steel, and you could see where the wing components were. But then when you get to the Pentagon, there's nowhere where the wings are. There's no marks where the engine is, where the impact is. It's just a lot of unbelievable, fanciful crap. The first time in history on that day, the only 3 steel buildings in history that collapsed primarily due to fire. Flight 93, where there's no evidence of a plane. I could go on and on and on and on. There is a lot more to the story. Would I lean towards it being an inside job? To some degree, absolutely. And someday I'll give you my whole thoughts on everything, what I believe based off of evidence. I'll do that on my other channel. But I don't think you have to believe it's an inside job. But I do think if you don't think there's more to the story than the official 9/11 story, you might have the intelligence of a carrot, or you just don't like to think for yourself. I mean, clearly, if you think about it on so many different levels, just one or several things, it just doesn't make sense. And people will ask me, when did I know that there was more to the story about 9/11? It was on that day of 9/11, and it started to me with Tower 7. I didn't come more vocal about it until a few years later, but that was always the first thing that really stood out to me. Then there's the cell phone calls from 30,000+ feet up in 2001 with 2001 technology, which would have been basically statistically almost impossible to do, especially with the numbers that there were. Flight 93, I always thought sounded like one of those nationalistic type of propaganda stories that wasn't based on a shred of reality whatsoever. Anyways, and the last question. Magnificent Matt, fuck, marry, kill, Linda McMahon, Shelton Benjamin's mama, or Judy Bagwell? I'd probably fuck Judy Bagwell. Yeah, probably. Marry Linda McMahon. Money, money, money. And then we could get rid of Shelton Benjamin's mama. All right, thanks to all of you guys for your questions. See, when the questions are this good, the Q&As go longer. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you did too. You want more questions answered? Go tweet them to me. At OTRSCentral on Twitter for the Monday, Wednesday Q&A. For the Friday Q&A, you know the deal. You sit there, go to the Facebook page of OTRS Central, post your questions there. See you later.